please welcome the President of the International Saxophone Committee, Monsieur Claude Delon.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
We all are so happy having been here for almost a week, 1 week, I should say, thanks to the World Saxophone Congress, St. Andrews 2012 organizers, mostly Richard, but all the team around, Sue, Margaret, Michael, team, and all the staff, which has been so professional. But before talking too much, we spoke during our private meeting that we did not listen enough music this week. We would love to hear a bit of a very unknown instrument, saxophone, but by Scottish music, by the Scottish Saxophone Ensemble. And please welcome on stage our friends Richard Ingham, Sue Mackenzie, Michael Brogan, Tim Watson, playing for us for a few minutes.
Thank you, Claude. This is a little piece of mine called Mrs. Malcolm Her Real Funky Fruity. And if you ask me nicely afterwards, I'll tell you the whole story.
But anyway, I declare open the session of the general meeting of the International Saxophone Committee, General Assembly, and with this beautiful introduction, thank you, Richard, and all Scottish Saxophone Ensemble. And first, I would, of course, say how great it was to discover for most of us Scotland through that beautiful town of St Andrew, which brought such a deep spirit, I would say, a true spirit, traveling, walking in the streets, visiting some beautiful buildings, churches, and wonderful cathedral, and all this very old history of Scotland. And I should say that it had a deep influence on this Congress, probably because of you, all organizers, and specifically Richard. And you wrote something, I would say, a bit more human, as it has ever been. Very human and very sensitive. I don't know how to express that. My English is pretty limited, and I would not overgo in my English expression. But I enjoy being here. You did really the best you could, and it has been very professional and very good. Of course, there is always something wrong here and there, but you know, nobody is perfect, and we really all enjoy playing and listening, especially listening. And we talked during our private meeting that the level, we always say that in a way it's truer and truer. It's always more and more the fact that the level is improving so much. If everyone in its own style was so professional, so well prepared, and most probably because the shape of the concert, 20 minutes, was of course seemed very short according to the effort, financial efforts, and spending a week and hours and days and months before preparing, commissioning pieces, doing transcriptions, and preparing oneself for 20 minutes seems very short, but according to the festival, finally, for the audience, it's very good being able to leave the hall after 20 minutes, because it refreshes and we can meet in between quite easily. It was I find, very good shape. Of course, probably Richard afterwards, we will have Richard saying a few words about the general things. But first I would say what is the order of the morning first. We will have a talk about the Congress. We will also present the people around me and the International Saxophone Committee. You already know the people, but it's not a question of biography, but more why they are interested in being a member. And then we will have the same in the list you have already left. In this list there are two mistakes, and Richard will say there is one name that should not be here and one name that should be here, and then we will correct that list. And then we will have introduction of two works that has been done on internet both by Barry Cockcroft and Andy, who should be arriving soon. And afterwards we will have the presentation of the people, of course, as I said, who want to be a member of this International Saxophone Committee. Then we will have, of course, your questions, comments, and afterwards we will have the voting. First, the voting of the International Saxophone Committee, and during the deliberation, but counting of the bullets, we will have Philippe Gaze and Mr. Daniel Payot presenting the Strasbourg project. As far as I know, there is no other proposition. Are there? Not. If there are any proposition, of course, in the statutes it's written that the International Saxophone Committee should receive a month before the Congress any proposal for a new Saxophone Congress, for the next Saxophone Congress. And as far as we didn't get any other proposal, we declare that this is the only one for World Saxophone Congress 17. Is that right? Good. And if you are okay with that order, and if 15. 15? Not 17. We are 16 now. Forward.
On 17th, 2015.
Richard always said that I talk well English, but not so. Marie can translate for you. Okay, and if you agree with that, we can begin first, and I will ask Richard to say a few words about not the whole thing, because it's huge, of course, huge. We will need 2 weeks to talk about the conference.
Shall I speak sitting down? Is the microphone? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
First of all, thank you so much for attending the 16th World Saxophone Congress here in Scotland, in St Andrews. Despite all that, obviously we've been working very hard up to this and working very hard during it, but nonetheless I think all of us who've been working on it have felt, as Claude said, the inspiration which comes from you musicians and all the many hundreds of musicians who were not here this morning who've been taking part. My initial vision on this was to have a World Saxophone Congress like we have every 3 years and to celebrate the music of the saxophone. And I hope we've achieved that. We've tried to maintain our aim of having traditions old and new. So there are many, many performances of new music. There are over 200 world premieres this week. But we try to encourage people not to forget our heritage and our historical repertoire, which I think we've succeeded in. It's maybe more by accident than design, because it depends on what people apply to play, but we've certainly had many, many premieres and lots of new music that people want to play again and again, and I think that's crucial, because composers want their music to be played a lot more times than once, obviously. And I think, incidentally, it's rather fitting that we will end this afternoon with the performance of the Glazunov Concerto in the wonderful hands of Otis Murphy and, of course, the Scottish Chamber Orchestra. I would like to make a special thanks to all the people who've worked on this Saxophone Congress. It seems to have gone very well, and as Claude said, the town is very beautiful, and that enhances and facilitates friendship, because the festive atmosphere is retained when you spill out onto the streets and the cafes, and that's really what we try to do. And incidentally, I felt that in Slovenia and Ljubljana, and also particularly in Pesaro in 1992. I thought that was a wonderful atmosphere there. A lot of people have said to me, many congratulations on this Congress and on the organisation of it. What I tell them is I had a vision which took about 6 seconds, and then lots of people did all the hard work. So I'd now like to briefly tell you who did all the hard work. And first of all, the president of the organising committee, who's I've also been on the stand and helping everybody 20 hours a day. President of the organising committee, Margaret Douglas. Two assistant directors. This is a gentleman, he's kept quite a low profile this week, and you may or may not have met him, but without doubt you will have had an email from him, and probably thousands. Just an astonishing man and an astonishing worker. Would you please give a huge round of applause for Mr. Michael Brogan? So much in so many areas to make sure this Congress has been as successful as it has been. Assistant Director Sue McKenzie. In his absence, because he's already tweaking the website for future events and handover, etc., I'm sure you will agree that the website has been pretty high standard, and he's just worked hours and hours for 3 years on this. He's not here, but please would you express your gratitude to Kenny Boyd. venues, etc. I think she's already working elsewhere, but that's Ruth Harris. A man who took on the logistics job, which was just ferrying around the town in a little van, but then organised the entire trade exhibition and looked after so many things. Another tireless worker, who also I think is at another venue sorting something else out. Oh no, he's here! Andrew Moss, ladies and gentlemen. Andrew and I have actually fallen out. We were having dinner last night in a very high quality kebab takeaway. and he said to me, "This is great, we should put a bid in for 2015. Our artistic liaison officer, who is responsible for the smooth running of all the concerto evenings and all sorts of other things, which has meant that I, in particular, can just go to the concerts and it's all organised. Huge amount of organisation. Sarah Markham. And he's not here either, but a lot of people have said to me, congratulations on your volunteer staff at the venues, all the stewards, etc. are all volunteers. So we have sent our gratitude to them. We don't let them off duty, they have to be doing something else at this moment. But Christoph Grafe has organised that. He's not here either, but please would you recognise Christoph Grafe, he organised. Assisting Margaret on the Saxophone Congress stand in the Bayer Theatre, but one in particular who's just been so helpful is, of course, the original Mrs. Malcolm, Mrs. Alison Malcolm. I'd like to thank our 3 official accompanists who've done a marvellous job, obviously, as always, under high pressure, and the 3 pianists who are already on an aeroplane to another gig are Scott Mitchell, Paul Turner and Ingrid Soar. Those of you who've been working in the Bayer Theatre, done concerts there, will recognise the work of Steve, the head engineer there, who's done so much work, much beyond his technical status. He's been so helpful, and of course he's at the Bayer now, clearing up. So massive thank you to Steve. Thank you. And last but not least, those of you who've been working in here and elsewhere have encountered my dear friend Kenny, who's made everybody feel at home and worked the sound in here. Mr. Kenny Hines, who is
and I would say, why not applauding Richard Ingham? I would say, before going on this wonderful, nice ending of the Congress, that we have here, we won't do that this morning, but we have here at least 2 former World Saxophone Congress organizers. First of them, Mr. Jean-Marie Landès and Shane Lee, with somewhere. Who knows? Why people do that crazy job organizing the World Saxophone? Why? Probably.
So I follow
and we will ask that to the next, but. I would say this is a crazy thing, and probably devoting 3 years and a bit more, because preparation is already something very challenging. Finding the fundings, budget, creating a budget is a huge job, as probably everybody can understand. But before having a look to who and why people would like to be in this committee, I would emphasize that on the fact that for now 3 years, this committee, in the name of Barry and Andy, has been working much more than we usually did. As first of that, I would like to thank once again to Jean-Marie, who was the head of who imagined all this organization and providing the basic organization of this committee with status that everyone could have a look on internet on the status and cahier des charges. I don't know the word in English. The rules that more or less the organizer have to follow in order to constitution, yes, and it's published both in French and English. And basic thing has been done, but these 3 years, perhaps Andy, as Andy is still not here, we can begin with Barry talking about this new network, probably a wonderful new way to be in touch all together and more connected.
Sure. Perhaps since Andy isn't here, we developed our projects in parallel without any discussion, and they're essentially not the same thing, but they're similar. The idea of bringing repertoire and other resources together. The Tenor Saxophone Index, which is a resource to bring together a resource for tenor saxophone music, players, and other resources based around it. It's web-based and it's an editorial website, so it's selected in some way. So when you go to that website, you can trust that the words that are listed on that site have been through an editorial process and they're tried and tested. So a wonderful resource for a tenor saxophone where sometimes music is harder to find. My own project was saxbook.com, which is a more of an open project, not edited. The idea is to bring all information together and to a contributory website where anybody can contribute any information they like that's related to the saxophone, whether it's repertoire, performances, biographies, composer information, research, you name it, it can be contributed. And it can also be edited by anyone else as well. So if you would like to add to the information that somebody else has provided, we have a resource that continues to grow. My interest in these areas is, I have a particular interest in sort of systems. The world now has so much information, we need ways of managing that information. It's a job that's too big for one person. So it's a job like Wikipedia for everybody to contribute to and to share and to participate. So we have 2 website projects, the Tenor Saxophone Index.info and Saxbook.com. Thank you.
Matthew from London can say something about
Yes.
the tenor.
Basically, I've been working on this project with Andy from the start, and as Barry said, we have collated for you all original repertoire for the tenor saxophone, as Andy and I kind of struggled finding repertoire. I'm sure you struggle as well. So what we've done, what's been really important for us is to verify the information on the index. So everything on the tenor saxophone index has been verified against a source, usually academic papers, dissertations, articles, record labels. So everything on there is correct, because for us, making sure that you have the right information to purchase, the right program notes, you know how long it is, and everything is really important to us. And we are now opening up for you to get in contact with us to help us fill in the gaps, correct anything that might be wrong, and to show us new repertoire that we don't know about, because there's so much out there, and having it in one place is what is our aim goal for us to discover it across the world.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And as a good transition, talking about people applying for being a member of the International Saxophone Committee, I would like Javier Valerio coming on stage and talking about the project of the new Latin American Saxophone Association, A la Sax.
Buenos dias. Good morning. Well, thank you. I'm going to be very brief. I've been a years. And since that time, I always had a dream to go back to Latin America, where I'm from Costa Rica, and sometime be able to do what the Latin American Saxophone Alliance could be. At that time, the area wasn't ready. We didn't have internet, we didn't have all these things, all these tools that we have already. So in the last years, I have been working and meeting all these people. Actually, Claudio here, Janet, they have been accomplished, and also they have been witnesses of what is going on in Latin America. There's so many things. So right now, I'm representing 21 countries. The Latin American Saxophone Alliance right now, I have been in every single country in Latin America. Only Venezuela is the only country I haven't been. But I have been able to be there, participate, we have interacted. And right now we built a really nice brotherhood of all the leaders of the saxophone. And all these countries right now agreed to get together. So first we're gonna have to organize the house, so we're gonna have the first Congress in Costa Rica, it's gonna be in the middle. And that's gonna be the first constitution. We're gonna have the assembly and all the legal procedures. And the idea to do this is not only for the saxophone in Latin America to be one more option to work together and to grow in the saxophone world with those. So this is going to be a new tool in order to be together. Those countries, every single country, have a lot of love and passion for the instrument. The people would like to, really learn more. So this is going to be a link of, I'm listening about all these things you're doing. We have thousands of saxophone repertoire that nobody knows. And right now our job is to start, making that available to you. The idea is to be together, be working together again, and the most important thing, to have fun, enjoy the music, and also be able to bring you guys to all these different countries. I know you're gonna be a little bit upset to go to the beach sometime because of but that's one of the options because this is a dream that now with all the tools, with the internet and everything we have is there. So right now at this point, this is a reality. The Latin American Saxophone Alliance is getting stronger. It's gonna be stronger, and we would like to have more presence in all these events right now. In the future, we will hope to bring the option to do the World Saxophone Congress in one of those 21 countries. I don't know, Jamaica, Brazil, Costa Rica. It sounds kind of like, but that's one of the things. And that's one of the reasons also, I think it'll be a historic way also to have a Latin America representative in the international committee. So the international committee can be more international too. Because one of the problems we have had is that we haven't had this link with all these organizations. And at this point, I think it's a very good time. And I right now invite you to see the website. It's alasax.org. It's Alianza Latinoamericana de Saxofonistas. And we have to manage Portuguese, French, English, and Spanish because we have all these. When we talk about Latin America, we talk about Mexico, Central America, Caribbean, and South America. So if you say South America, we kill last. We kill Central America, Mexico, and Caribbean. So make sure Latin America. So thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity.
As everybody knows here, the Northern American Saxophone Organization, NASA, works in a very, very safe and good and strong way, organizing every other year a regional conference and every other year a national conference. And I attended some of them, and I've been always so impressed by the community feeling we were talking about that week, and that works very well. But it's in the American space. It's the university way of thinking, and that works very, very well. I would say in Europe it's a bit more difficult to. I won't say about France. That's impossible in France. but in Europe it's difficult. In Asia could be possible, but. Mr. Thomas Leide had an idea to federate the whole world in one association, like a federation.
Some ideas come early, some ideas come late, and my idea came late, which is why I was unable to invite as many people to take part in the meeting yesterday as I might have wished. The idea was simply to establish communication between the various saxophone organizations around the world. And so we set aside an hour, and we had representatives from organizations in the United States, Canada, Central America, and Great Britain. There was no intention to omit anybody, it was just simply unable to communicate, and hopefully that will change in the future. We did meet, and I would say that the principal things which we accomplished were to establish communication, to get people to meet people. 2, for the North American Saxophone Alliance to commit themselves to some degree, at least, to assist Wscxvi in their formation of their first ever conference. 3rd, we shared information regarding membership, budgets, publications, which we have. I'm up to 5 now. The next point was that we agreed to share the publications that we have. NASA will be sending to CAS and to Wscxvi, for example, our symposium, which should come out later this month. And they said that they would return the same to us. We realized that there was nothing in existence so basic as a list of the saxophone organizations around the world. And so with that in mind, I expressed my willingness to take on the responsibility of coming up with that list, which is where you can be of great help. If you will contact me by email, hopefully, I'll be happy to compile that list. I think that's seems like some very basic information which we ought to have available somewhere. And then finally, those who are present would like to formally request the host for the next World Saxophone Congress that a time and a place be set aside for members of all of the saxophone organizations around the world who are present to attend and continue that discussion. Thank you, Claude.
Probably we can talk a bit further on all those subjects when we will have questions, and we will share a bit, but now we have to go a bit forward with a presentation, not as I said, not on biographies, but why people are interested in this kind of meeting, even if we don't meet much in between World Saxophone Congresses, but we meet and communicate quite well. I would say first, Thomas, you can say what, and then afterwards, perhaps all those who apply for that could prepare themselves to say why they. Perhaps we can have the list ready for that.
Thomas Wiley. It's a great honor to serve with these people, and I've enjoyed these last 3 years tremendously. I think it may have special meaning to me because, as some of you know, while I haven't been to every Congress, I do go back to the first Congresses in 1969 and wrote a history of the Congress, a modest history of the Congress that needs to be updated and extended. And I'm very much in favor of what this committee does, and it would be an honor to serve on it once again.
Thank you.
I started teaching not very long ago, just 15 years ago. I was lucky. I've been lucky to be a first saxophone teacher in 2 countries. First classical saxophone teacher, and in Taiwan I started saxophone classical saxophone class in the university level. And a couple years later, I moved to Thailand and also started classical saxophone teaching. And I have witnessed many amazing things happen during the teaching career. I've seen seen students meet me every week, and I teach them a skill note by note. And I found it's amazing when students learning saxophone and they progress very fast, and they show their talent. Actually, I almost did nothing but just watching students growing, and I'm fortunate to witness the process. I believe we have a very good congress once every several years. But also, I think most important, and also very importantly, is we meet our students, we teach them every week, day by day, and watch them growing. It's also very important. I think my job here, I have very lucky to meet lots of important people I admire very much, and especially I had the opportunity to meet Michel Londex and Alan Kripken. We had the opportunity to talk about two competitions. Jean-Marie Londex's international saxophone competition in Thailand and the Dinant competition. I think we found it's very lucky to have two competitions sit down together to talk about. We are not competition, we are friendship. We agree to help each other, we promote each other. We have more communication. That is very fortunate and very warm in my feeling. So I have an opportunity to witness all the friendship going on in the saxophone community, and I decided to commit myself to be a bridge to develop those community among saxophonists. And in the past, the Asian countries or where the area where I live is new for saxophone community. Not like a European or American, which have a highly mature and developed in saxophone playing. So I wish I can help those people in those regions, including Chinese-speaking, Chinese world, Southeast Asia. Those people, they would love to learn saxophone, just like I've witnessed. They love saxophone. They love playing saxophone. They would love to join the world, communicate, and exchange the experience with the people of those who have master of this instrument. So I wish I can be a channel for this world. I've experienced. If you teach students day by day, week by week, after years, after just not long, just several years, they can be very good master of the instrument, be very mature. And it doesn't take long, just 10 years, you can change total, and a country, you can totally change it. After students growing up, just by multiply, two teachers, 4 teachers, 8 teachers, and if they learn the way playing correctly, you can change the whole country just by our saxophone. I think it's very touching, and I think it's very profound experience for me. So I wish I can work with you more. Thank you.
Okay, hi. My name is Kenneth Che from the United States, and thank you again for coming this morning. Well, the reason for my wanting to serve on the committee is very simply this gentleman alone a good reason to work in the committee. If they're not, I don't know what is. However, I know that as a committee we don't really meet regularly. We only communicate through email, and in 3 years' time is really short. And so, but we did have a very productive meeting this time, and we talked a lot of good ideas for the next Congress or for the future plan. And my hope is that in relation to what Dr. Lively talked about, the community, I hope that we can generate, as a committee, we can help generate more interest about the next Congress, rather than relying only on the host to promote the event. We can generate worldwide the interest about the World Saxophone Congress. So the next one, then more people will come, hopefully, and enjoy the community spirit. And I'm hoping that I can serve in some capacity and help in that direction. Thank you.
And over the last 18 years, I founded and been running a company with my wife that is now one of the largest publishing companies in the world. And we represent about 14,000 compositions, many of which are for saxophone. And my passion has been bringing the two together, because if you combine a saxophonist with a composer, you get better music than just composers working by themselves, saxophonists working by themselves. So my interest in this committee is making sure that that passion continues and that we continue to integrate the two art forms together so that ultimately on the stage we have the best music possible. That's my interest in the Wscxvi committee. Thank you.
I would like Mr. Red Bender to say.
Can you hear me from here? My name is Rhett Bender. I am Regional Director of the North American Saxophone Alliance. I represent the West Coast of the United States, an underrepresented area of saxophone. I've been responsible for hosting and finding hosts for regional meetings on the West Coast, and I've done so successfully since 2002. I also host a chamber music festival yearly and a saxophone workshop, and I'd like to bring my talents to the international level and serve in this committee. I'm honored by the nomination, and thank you for consideration.
Now, Mrs. Julia Nolan.
Yeah.
Julia.
I'm Julia Nolan. I'm from the west coast of Canada, Vancouver, British Columbia. And I am also the regional director of the west coast of Canada, which includes basically half the country. Canada is divided into 2 regions, so it's an enormous region. We put on conferences every 2 years, as everyone else does. So that's been my job. I've put on 3 conferences in Vancouver. I also have run a workshop with Dr. Eugene Rousseau for the last 15 years in Vancouver, and I work with him in Shell Lake, Wisconsin as well. But for Vancouver and for this committee, I was on this committee 2006 to 2009. I was elected to this committee in Ljubljana, and I too enjoy the work within. Again, not many meetings, but just the meetings of those minds is quite enticing for me. I'm also a performer and a teacher and a music educator and an amateur bassoonist. So I see all kinds of ways in which this organization could possibly include other genres and other ideas within. I'm so happy to have seen and talked to Branford Marsalis here. He looked like he was having a great time. And to have somebody like that in the jazz world that is just having fun, attending all of these sessions was wonderful. As a music educator, I think there's things that we could be doing, incorporating certain aspects of our performing on saxophone into that education world. And also for amateur musicians, community musicians, that's something where we could expand our horizons in this saxophone community. Anyway, I would be honored to be on this committee again and to work with the committee. Thank you.
Is that Timothy Roberts?
Hi, I'm Timothy Roberts. I am the former saxophone soloist with the Navy Band in Washington, and recently retired from that, and am now teaching at Shenandoah Conservatory in Virginia. The reason that I would like to be on this panel is I've got a lot of experience as the former coordinator of the Washington Symposium for the Navy Band. And our objective with that was to expose the saxophone to more members of the general community, not just saxophone players, because those are the people that are going to be supporting our art, supporting our music. And in 24 years, we do the Navy Band Symposium every year. We now have over 2,000 people there, and probably over half of them are members of the general community that just want to come listen to music. So I think that's very important. because of that objective that we had, I have lots of fresh ideas. I think I could present for marketing to the panel, and I'm aware of all the organizational efforts and the logistic efforts that it takes to help with this. So I think I could have a lot to contribute. Thank you.
Richard again?
Thanks, Claude. Well, you've heard a lot from me, so you don't really want to hear much more. I would love to serve on the committee again for another 3 years. I still have the energy to do that this week and the last 3 years. This is my 9th World Saxophone Congress. The first was in Washington, D.C. in 1985. I've directed 7 British saxophone congresses, and it will be a great pleasure to continue to facilitate networking between saxophonists throughout the globe. It will be an honour to continue to serve on this committee. Thank you.
Wscxvi Xvi. Not here. Leo. As you know, there is a rule in the statutes that we cannot be elected if we are not here. And then we cannot put that name on the list. I'm sorry for Leo, because he's a great guy, of course. But perhaps he moved for a while, or perhaps no. I don't know. Okay, I'm afraid that we need to cancel his name. Now, Mr. William Street this is a mistake, I think. You was on the list, but somebody put your name on the list.
Yes, I've served for over 10 years, so I'm pleased to let someone else serve.
Okay. And Shenley was there. And it's Mr. Shenley who is already present himself. I would like, of course, perhaps Philippe to give a more. Even, of course, obviously, as we don't know yet, but cannot say anything. Maybe. But if, as you know, again in the rules, if he would be the next organizer, he would be even not elected a member. That means that we will have to vote for 6 people, and the organizer of the next will be the 7th, as Richard has been for the last team. Okay, but you can briefly talk about yourself.
Yes, I know the rules that Claude just talking about, and I just put my name because I really have a lot of fun to share my passion with all of you, and that's why I put my name to really think that's a great thing that we could share and meet each other to talk about music, to talk about human things also, and maybe that could be an idea to put my name out and not just one room more for another person also. And we'll talk a little bit more after.
I'm afraid that I have to tell myself a little bit why I would like to apply once again. Just one word. I don't know what I prefer, music or being connected with all of you. That's it. Now we will proceed to the voting. And perhaps you can explain the way.
Yeah, you've all got a list there. So William Street is not on the list, but Shenley is on the list. So Shenley
and Leo is not.
Yeah, Shenley is number 10, and Leo is not on the list. Can I just check that we're taking Philip off? So
Yeah.
Yes.
Just in case you win the
Yeah.
So you all have ballot papers, and you should put the number and the name of one person you wish to vote for. Daniel.
I have a question because I'd like to know, I mean, the committee actually has 6 members,
Yes.
plus the organizer of the next.
Yes.
But we're going to vote for one person, which means that one of you is going to go out, or the 6 will stay in. I mean, how does that work? Because if we vote for one person, but the committee is 6 people, how do you know who has the other one to stay or not?
No. Richard, you explain. Everyone here has to put 6 names. 6 names. 6 names, and afterwards it's the 6 first person will be. Ahora vamos a tocarlo en español, hay gente que no entiende el español, tenemos que escribir 6 nombres sobre el boletín y la gente que obtiene los 6 primeros nombres sí, mejor.
Lo único es igual, son 6 nombres no importa el orden, si al principio de lo que haces es poner 6 nombres de la lista que están ahí, para asegurarse que no ponga y que no están. Nada más 6 nombres, no importa en qué orden, quién es el primero, segundo, tercero, nada más 6 nombres los que están ahí.
Est-ce que c'est nécessaire de lire en français? Oui. Bon, alors en français, vous avez un bulletin de vote, et sur ce bulletin, vous devez inscrire 6 noms au maximum. C'est-à-dire, vous pouvez aussi en inscrire que 4 ou 3. C'est mieux d'en mettre 6, c'est quand même plus sympathique quand même. Mais au maximum. Ça veut dire que vous pouvez, un bulletin qui a 7 noms n'est pas valable. Hein, c'est 6 noms. Ok? Voilà, vous choisissez. A maximum of 6 can be less, but it cannot be more.
No tienen que ser los 6, si quieres solo elegir 2, pero no más de 6. Okay?
And you have to put the name and the number. The name and the number. Both. Okay? Vous pouvez écrire le nom et le numéro. Le nom de la personne et son numéro. Et en espagnol,
It's very confusing now. If I could clarify what I think from the past and what I think you're saying is that each person puts down 6 names. The 6 names are not ranked because you mark down the number of votes and you count the number of votes for each candidate.
Yes.
And then if you have put 7, it's invalid.
Exactly what I thought.
Yes. But they didn't understand. So I'm just clarifying. So if you write,
can you say that in Spanish?
Si ponen más de 6, el voto queda nulo, queda inválido. Tienen que asegurarse que no sean más de 6. Y también el nombre cambió con respecto al número. They have changed already the numbers with the name in case some people who already wrote down the numbers. So make sure that the numbers are different now.
Donc en français, donc 6 noms maximum. On va le dire peut-être en thaïlandais, parce qu'il y a quelques personnes thaïlandaises ici.
On va y arriver.
ให้ลงไปขอบคุณชื่อขอบคุณเยอะที่สุดขอบคุณไม่เยอะกว่าขอบคุณ
Est-ce qu'on doit le dire en... Est-ce qu'il y a des Bretons qui ne comprennent pas le français?
Really?
Oui.
No, because the numbers are already around the room. They're different.
Okay. Then what do you want?
Philip, take it down, please.
Okay.
On the side, they're already numbered. Each is different number.
But then you prefer this list?
Put the first one, the original.
And that you have to put in addition change.
I know, but see, the numbers will be wrong then. The numbers will then be wrong. Okay.
There are many people that are confused with the changes of numbers, and they asked me to say that it would be preferable to put names because everyone is sure of names. But many people are confused with the changing numbers.
Hey, Bill, the numbers are all the same, except that 10 is now Xian Li.
But it's not. Several people are.
Please write legend.
now Paul will take care about counting, and now it's time to give to Philippe Gaze and Mr. Daniel Payot, who is Minister of Culture of Strasbourg City, to have, we will give you 20 minutes to present the project for World Saxophone Congress 17.
Okay, then I will start first, and Mr. Payot will join me a little bit later. Then, now since Bangkok, we really work hard with several regular meetings in Paris with the French team, and several members are here this morning, and like Jean-Michel Bourri, Claude Delangle, Jean-Denis Lichard, Vincent David, Marie-Bernadette Charrier. Also Claude Georgel, who is president from Association A Sax, was not there this morning, but he think about us and is president. And also we think about working in a collective of different French association, also other countries, but I will talk more about that a little bit later. Then, why, that's a little bit the question later, why I want to do that, because the last time we had a congress in France was with Mr. Londex. And, oops, excuse me. And I really think that someone has to do it, then I will try to be the crazy guy who will do that. As I just said before, the French community work already on this subject, and we also are very happy to have a very strong support of the Strasbourg City, and that's why Mr. Payot is there this morning. Then, for who don't know where is Strasbourg, here that's a short video with sounds, usually, maybe. Excuse me. You like sound? Hey, technical guy. Okay, maybe like that. Don't move. Wait! a new conservatory called City of Music and Dance with 100 rooms on 4 floors. That's this new building. We have an auditorium with 500 seats, several rooms on the ground floor where we do the recitals, one special organ room with organ, and 2 open airs like that's very nice in summer. That's one other open air space. We will have this building ready for 2014. That's called Wscxvi Xvi, that's all the name of the building, and that will be a center for numeric arts and experimental research and things. Of course, the Strasbourg University will take part of this event, and this is for evening concerts. The Congress Center. That's the big hall with 2,000 seats, where the Philharmonic Orchestra is used to play, and we will also have a special event in the Strasbourg Cathedral. And here is the very big place in the center of Strasbourg, Place Kléber, where we could do some also very nice open-air events. My proposition is to really think about expand the Wscxvi Congress to Wscxvi Congress Festival to be more also in the city and to meet more the audience. We think about have a thematic show, but now the different thematics are not ready. We are still working on. I really would like for the Congress part to share more research with the world community for preparing the performances also. Really work on how we could have all style represented. We start to have more and more in the Congress, but I think we need to still going on this way. We think we would like to have all levels, the saxophone family, because we are many teachers, and that could be also nice to talk about more pedagogical things also. Of course, mixed generation. And one thing is we think about building upstream actions with the label Wscxvi Congress 2015. For example, the Strasbourg Philharmonic Orchestra, who is really involved in this event, proposed to organize a young talent concert before the Congress in year 2015 and invite 2 winners of 2 international competitions. That could be, for example, Dinah and another competition that's not already decided, but that's one idea we are working on. That's an example of some Congress and festival interaction. That's just an example. That's not something we will do. That's one idea. For example, if you think about Chelsea, that's a lot of Indian music, traditional music inspiration in Chelsea. We could work on what are the research already done, what could be the research we could do, and during the Congress we could have a very short conference before the performing example to really build relation between research and performing. We could have a traditional Indian music workshop with or without snakes, we don't know. And for the festival part, we could, for example, invite Mr. Gopal Nath, and why not some Wscxvi Congress guest who will play with Mr. Gopalnath. That's just an idea, and I really would love to share many ideas you could have around this kind of way to build projects together. After that, the general schedule, that's just a preview. We have, of course, many works to do. I think we could, of course, keep the multi-events day with many recital, lecture, and so on. But I would also love to, I would propose to work on one. I call that crazily because in France we have les Folles Journées de Nantes with kind of special events. And for me is because when I see the program of the Congress, when always I would like to be in 2 or 3 rooms together. Then I propose that the last day we could be all together. That could be possible because in the Strasbourg Conservatory, all recital rooms will be at the same floor. Then we could organize something like a big, that will be not a big noisy mix, but we have 1 week to organize that. We could think about that, maybe also invite other artists like, I don't know, dancers or other painters, and to build something special together. About the Strasbourg Philharmonic Orchestra, they are very happy to collaborate. That's the new conductor with Marco Letonia from Slovenia. And they already proposed to commission 1 to 4 concerto. I say 1 to 4 because at the beginning they say we will commission 1, but they are very happy and they say why not commission 4? Then we are talking about that. Then 2 symphony concerts are already previous and they will be supported by the city of Strasbourg. The Philharmonic Orchestra also proposed to organize 1 year key pedagogical concert before the Congress during the year. I already talked about the Young Talent Concert featuring 2 competition winners. And that's a tradition in Strasbourg to have a very popular symphonic concert around July 4th or 5th, it depends a little bit. That's called Symphonie de Deux Rives. And that's a very popular event with 10,000 people or more. And they propose to have a special saxophone piece during this concert, who will be just before the Congress, and that will be something like a lounge for the World Sax Congress. After that, of course, we'll think about a special wind band concert. We prepare a young generation special event because we really want to involve the young generation, and actually Nicolas Prost and the French team prepare some crazy project with 2015 young saxophonists. Then we work on that. Probably for all of Europe, because if we want 2015, that's quite a lot, and that could be in relation with the Pop Sax show. We also are very happy to get the proposition from the Strasbourg City to take part of the 1000th anniversary of the Strasbourg Cathedral. And the Strasbourg City offered to the Congress to give a proposition for 1 event in this marvelous cathedral. Then we are working on that. I propose also something a bit symbolic, but I like this idea to have 1 composition in Internet World Sing for non-participants of the Congress. After that, when multi-generation saxophone orchestra, I saw that in Japan and find that's very nice. And we have already talked about many actions we could do, and we could talk a little bit more about that later. We already work with a French Association Network. About the World Association Network, I really think that we are on the way to build some world community, and I would really like the Congress to be the World Congress, not my Congress, not French Congress, but the World Congress. And then we have to work on that together. And try to be representative of each saxophonist who could have classical, contemporary improvisers. We already made some improvisers to talk about them, to explain to them how it could be very interesting to take part of this event and what they could bring, what they could share. And I think that's really great to have quite the whole week a very great musician as Brent from Marseille, for example. And then I would like this event to be really open. About the partner, we will have in a short moment the communication from the Strasbourg City. The Strasbourg Conservatory is now also a superior school of art, and Mr. Daniel Payot, the president of this superior school of art, where the Superior Academy of Music is in, the Superior School of Art. The Strasbourg University is very involved, and we are very lucky to have research found to build projects. For example, this year, Claude Delange was in Strasbourg to do the first research time with the Strasbourg University, and they will do publication with DVD about that. Strasbourg Philharmonic Orchestra Musica Festival is very important. That's the most important contemporary festival, one of the most in Europe, and they are very happy to collaborate too. And other public funds like French Cultural Ministry, and of course the private funds we will need. Then I would like to share this event with you. Excuse me. I really would like also to have all age and all level, all music style, and I already listened to that before, and I'm very happy that you think now about a World Saxophone Association, and then I'm really ready to talk about that with all of you. Just one little thing also, about some questions we have in mind. We really think about having different prize for performers, students, group. We think about that, and also we are very lucky to have just in front of the conservatory the CTO of Strasbourg with a very big restaurant with 2,000 seats, and then we could think about have a day pass with some very quick and with a good price lunch, for example, for having something useful and not too expensive. And now, Mr. Payot, who is Culture Deputy of Strasbourg, President of the Superior School of Arts and President of the Strasbourg Classical Foundation.
Bonjour. Le maire et la municipalité de Strasbourg soutiennent fortement la candidature qui vient de vous être présentée par Philippe. Je voudrais brièvement évoquer quelques-unes des raisons de ce soutien dont témoigne aussi ma présence aujourd'hui parmi vous.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. The Mayor and the City Council of Strasbourg strongly supports the candidacy that has just been presented to you. I would like to briefly mention some of the reasons of this support, hence my presence here today with you.
Strasbourg, vous le savez, entend jouer un rôle particulier en Europe. Elle accueille plusieurs institutions européennes, le Parlement, le Conseil de l'Europe, la Cour européenne des droits de l'homme. Et cela indique bien, je crois, ce qu'est réellement notre ville. Une ville d'histoire, une preuve réelle, une preuve vivante que les conflits du passé, qui ont été importants dans cette région, peuvent être convertis en entente, en collaboration, en signe de paix. Une ville de démocratie, attentive aux relations entre les peuples, à la diversité des cultures, à leur dialogue. Une ville qui veut jouer un rôle constructif au présent et dans la préparation de l'avenir le plus juste et le plus épanouissant possible.
As you may already know, Strasbourg wishes to play a particular role in Europe. The city welcomes several European institutions, the European Parliament, the European Council, the European Court of the Human Rights. This indicates well what our city truly is. Strasbourg is a city of history, a real and living proof that the past conflicts can be turned into harmony, partnerships, and signs of peace. Strasbourg is a democratic city that pays attention to the relationships between peoples, to the diversity of cultures, to the dialogues. Strasbourg is a city that wants to play a constructive part nowadays, shaping the most fair and fulfilling future possible.
Strasbourg est aussi une ville universitaire. Elle hérite de ce point de vue également d'une histoire moderne, au terme de laquelle les rivalités passées entre cultures françaises et allemandes ont abouti à un état de solidarité, de compréhension mutuelle, de construction commune. Strasbourg tente au mieux d'exprimer les traditions intellectuelles multiples qui la constituent, germanique, française, européenne et mondiale. La présence dans nos murs de 2 prix Nobel vivants en est une indication remarquable.
Strasbourg is also a university city, heir of a modern history at the end of which past rivalries between French and German cultures have led to a state of solidarity, of mutual understanding and common shaping. Strasbourg does its best to express the multiple intellectual traditions that make it up: German, French, European and worldwide. Proof is the presence of 2 living Nobel Prize winners.
Enfin, Strasbourg est une ville de culture. Depuis plusieurs décennies, quelle que soit leur couleur politique, les municipalités successives se sont employées à confirmer cette orientation. Nous poursuivons ce choix avec le souci conjoint de mettre en relation un existant patrimonial important, dont la cathédrale est évidemment l'emblème principal, mais qui englobe en réalité plusieurs siècles, de l'Antiquité romaine jusqu'au XXe siècle, et en même temps de promouvoir l'art vivant, l'innovation, la créativité, du point de vue de la production artistique, comme de celui de l'enseignement des arts et de l'éducation culturelle.
Finally, Strasbourg is a city of culture. For several decades, and regardless of their party lines, the successive city councils have worked hard to follow this founding idea. We carry on this choice with the joint concern to link an important actual patrimony, including the main symbol, the cathedral, and which includes several centuries from the Roman antiquity to the 20th century, with the promotion of living art, creativity, innovation from the point of view of the artistic production to the one of the teaching of art and cultural education.
La musique est au centre de cette préoccupation. Strasbourg hérite d'une tradition musicale très importante et encore bien vivante, et elle s'efforce aussi d'être une ville de création et l'une des principales références européennes pour la musique contemporaine. De ce point de vue aussi, évidemment, la perspective d'un congrès mondial du saxophone est pour nous une opportunité extraordinaire, y compris peut-être parce que cet instrument est lui-même emblématique d'une articulation fertile entre répertoire et improvisation, entre styles musicaux et artistiques multiples, entre histoire et innovation, entre une multiplicité d'expressions artistiques dont la diversité, selon les types de musique, les aires géographiques, les modes d'appropriation culturelle, est infinie.
Music is at the center of this concern. Strasbourg inherits a very important and lively musical tradition. Strasbourg tries hard to be a city of creation and one of the principal European examples in the field of contemporary music. Taking this into account, the prospect of a World Saxophone Congress is for us an extraordinary opportunity. This instrument itself embodies a fertile articulation between written and improvised music, between multiple musical and artistic genres, between history and innovation, between many artistic ways of expression whose diversity, depending on the styles of music, the geographical areas, the ways of adapting cultures, is infinite.
Strasbourg est une ville de 250 000 habitants, située au cœur d'une agglomération qui compte environ 500 000 habitants. Cette ville reçoit chaque année la visite de 9 millions de touristes. Nous serions très fiers d'y accueillir aussi en juillet 2015 quelques centaines, voire quelques milliers de saxophonistes. Nous serions ravis que les Strasbourgeois puissent bénéficier de la présence de toutes les personnes que cet instrument concerne et réunit partout dans le monde, de leur talent, de leur enthousiasme, de leur contribution à un environnement sonore, culturel et urbain riche, multiple, plein de bonheur et plein de surprises.
Strasbourg is a city of 250,000 inhabitants, located at the heart of an urban community of about 500,000 inhabitants. 9 million tourists visit our city each year. We would be very proud to welcome in July 2015, several thousands of saxophonists. We would be delighted that the inhabitants of Strasbourg could benefit from the people who care about the saxophone. We are sure you all agree with us when we assume our instrument gathers talented and enthusiastic people all around the world. You all contribute to sound, cultural and urban environments, an environment full of happiness and surprises.
Thank you very much and see you in Strasbourg.
Then, if you have questions, let me know. And I don't know. Some questions? No? Yes?
I just wanted to appeal to the future committee, whoever that may be, that my experience with the last two saxophone congresses and the next one being in Europe for the second time, when I was a student at the last saxophone congress, it meant a lot that there were travel assistants to go to Asia.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it wouldn't have been possible to have a saxophone congress in Asia without this travel assistance. And I hope that the next one, there could be travel assistance for people from Australia or Asia or America.
Yeah.
In different degrees, could be possible.
Yeah, and I think that's also, that's a very good question, thank you. And I think that's also one question we could talk about in a kind of world association, world community, because maybe each association from each country could think on how they could cooperate in this thing. And of course we think about that, and we will try to find the best way to find money to support the students and all performers. Yes, thank you. No? Okay, thank you very much.
If we first have to know who is the next International Saxophone Committee first, and then have the voting, but by only raising hands. That's right, right? Because if we would have 2 or 3 proposals, it would be probably necessary to have secret ballots. But now I think if nobody complains with that, we can. It will be faster, probably not change much. I probably will ask now, Michael, would it be possible to we need before, because everything now concerns the next, and we are of the past. To know who is the next World Saxophone International Saxophone Committee, and then we'll have the voting, if you don't mind. It's just a question of having the numbers now. Okay. Just a minute left. If any other question raised. No. Perhaps just myself, one question about the number of days. There is a slightly tendency to open a little bit more. It's a little bit longer this time, having the final concert on Sunday afternoon, and perhaps we can have some feedback from all of you right now about the perfect duration for the World Saxophone Congress. We were talking about that already with Philippe, but I would be interested in knowing, mostly Philippe, what is because a full week would be definitely too long. But what is it this shape better, a little bit longer that it has been organized, or would you prefer a bit shorter, even because this is always a question of money. And is there any concern about that, or can leave that free to the organizing committee?
Maybe just one information I could give about that is I propose that the first day is arrival day and the opening concert. But no recital the first day. And the second thing is a remark in this Congress that in the middle of the week, many people start to be tired, and we have no time to really meet each other. Then this morning we talked about that, and that could be a nice idea to have one evening just off, like a big barbecue party. But just a time to meet each other and to don't listen to saxophone. But I love it. Okay. Do you think it's, yes, we can already vote, because there is a little organizing thing, and I think we already can vote for finally we are just to think yes or no. You could say no, but some okay. Can we say who agrees with next World Saxophone Congress, 17th in Strasbourg, 2015? Yeah.
For yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Now for no. how it will be, Mr. Payot and Philippe Gaze invite all of us to drink.
Now, for today, that will be champagne, and in Strasbourg, of course, you have a lot of choice, especially Alsatian wine. But for today, that will be champagne.
Where will you?
Then through organizers.
In the foyer.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Close the meeting right now because they need 1 more minute to make the counting right. And I'm sorry for those who are in a hurry, but just technical and being sure about what
I could give you some music if you want.